So we got the first trailer for the third installment in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, and here's my thoughts and my breakdown. So my background on the previous Sonic projects, well, the first movie I thought was okay. I loved the second one, and then the Knuckles show was just an absolute abysmal of a TV show. Well, they just put the trailer out for this third movie, and I'm very happy with how this looks, and same with the poster. This poster and this trailer pretty much shows how much this franchise has come. When you look at the first movie's poster, Sonic has that horrible, ugly design. You look at the second movie's poster, and that looks 10 times better. And then this third movie, they are going above and beyond. I even like how Sonic and Shadow's trail makes the three. That's very clever, and I love this poster. Now, getting on to the trailer here, we get recaps of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and it seems like they're just fighting crime now. And the thing I really liked when I saw this is that Sonic seems a lot more mature. He seems like he has really grown from the second movie. There was a lot of complaints from people about how he didn't really mature at the end of the movie, and more he would just kind of be like, nah, I'll mature another time. But in this movie, it seems like they're gonna change up his character a bit, which I think will be very fresh, and it seems like that's what they're gonna kind of do in this movie is change Sonic in a way. But it is nice to see Tails and Knuckles, even though it's kind of funny seeing Knuckles after the whole thing with the Knuckles show, but it's great to see these little furry guys again. Now, we get the intro of Shadow, and oh my gosh, this dude looks so beautiful. And this part of the trailer got me even more excited because it seems like they're starting to take the tone more seriously. They said that Shadow's story is extremely similar to Sonic, but instead, Sonic found friends and a family. Shadow instead found tragedy and heartbreak. And we see the brief cameo of Maria, which, if you don't know who she is, she's actually related to Gerald Robotnik in the games, and he does pop up at the end of the trailer here, and she's also connected to. Here's the description of Maria. Maria suffered from a terminal illness that made her unable to leave the place of her birth and go down to Earth. To save Maria, Gerald worked on Project Shadow and hopes to find a cure for her. Now, I think that they may do something similar to that in the movie, and they did say tragedy and loss. So maybe does Maria die in this movie, or does what happens to her? Because we don't actually see her for the rest of the trailer. But maybe that's the main reason why Shadow kind of exists is because of Gerald Robotnik, and they'll apply that into the film. Now, this next shot, we get a bit of a tease of Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails fighting Shadow. We did hear about some of this at the CinemaCon trailer, which I think this is actually the same trailer, but I love that Knuckles is like, this is more impressive than the last Hedgehog that I fought, which like, that is so funny that he just overtly says that in front of Sonic's face, and Sonic's like, "Dude, I'm right here," and Knuckles is like, "I wanna fight him," and they're both like, "No, no, no, don't do it," and then Knuckles fights Shadow, and Shadow literally twists his wrist, and just showing how Shadow is so much more powerful than any of these other creatures that we've ever had before, because we see that he pretty much just takes down Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic. Now, hearing some of Keanu Reeves' line delivery is just great. Love this casting as Shadow, and when he says, "You colorful bunch," all I think about is John Wick. So far, I'm actually really liking Keanu Reeves as this character. Then we get some really cool and epic shots of this spaceship. We hear James Marsden's character saying Sonic as he's like in peril, to where Sonic probably makes the hardest decision in this entire franchise, and a decision that kind of made me go, wait, what? Is that he has to team up with Robotnik to stop Shadow? Like, that is crazy. And we see Robotnik for the first time in quite a long time, and he has the fat suit, but not really what I thought. I mean, I thought that he would look as accurate to the games as possible, but I don't think we're seeing that version of him quite yet. But he just kind of looks fat and ugly, and Knuckles is like, man, this is disappointing even for you. And like, that is really funny. My question though is how the hell did he survive? At the end of Sonic 2, he pretty much kind of died. He fell so far off of his mech that it pretty much looked like he was a goner. But it seemed like he was going to come back inevitably because, well, we needed a villain for the third movie. But I'm really wondering how the heck did he survive that fall? Because I don't think anyone could have survived that. But also, how did he get fat and how does he look this ugly? Then we get this really hilarious gag where Robotnik is starting to become who he really looks like in the games with the fat suit, the mustache, and even the bald head, which that makes me very excited. But he's like, I don't have enough room, and Agent Stone is like, we don't have enough materials, and Dr. Robotnik is like, find materials, and just rips the shirt off of him, which I thought was a pretty hilarious gag. But now we get more epic shots of Shadow. We see Sonic and Robotnik coming out of a portal, which still crazy that they're teaming up in this movie, but seems like they'll both obviously hate each other from the past they've had in the two films. And Shadow says, when I'm done, there will be nothing left, which, oh my gosh, that kind of gave me chills. Then Sonic says, what did you do? And Shadow said, what I had to do. And we see Shadow on his motorcycle. Yes, and I actually have a Lego of this. So it's very cool. But we see that he's on his motorcycle, and Sonic and Shadow are gonna fight in the sky. And it looks like they're in Tokyo. Like, oh, this gets me excited. To now, we get to the final shot, and we see Gerald Robotnik, which, if you don't know who he was a human scientist and the grandfather of Maria Robotnik and Dr. Eggman, and he's basically the person that made Shadow the Hedgehog. And it makes so much sense to have him in the movie, not just because he's a part of the games and he's part of this story, but it's also because Jim Carrey wanted to play something a little bit different in this movie, so have him play Gerald Robotnik, who is a very different character from Robotnik himself. Because the Robotnik in this movie doesn't seem too different from the other movies, but it's so happy that Jim Carrey's playing both of these characters. Because if you didn't hear recently, he's selling his house in Los Angeles. So after this movie, he's saying goodbye to Hollywood, he's saying goodbye to acting, and he's retiring for good. We heard about that a couple more years ago, but it sounds a lot more definitive and more finalized now. And he is going to go off on a bang with this movie, and I cannot wait. Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, and then seeing Gerald and them interacting, and he's like in the saggy flesh. It was just hilarious. And Jim Carrey's gonna go off on a huge high note with this movie. But my thoughts on this trailer, I think that this was a great first trailer. It's really shown how far this franchise has become. We look back at that first trailer from 2019, and it was just going to be a generic hybrid movie with Sonic in it. It was going to have nothing to do with the games, but after the criticism of that design, that completely changed everything. Now, in the first movie, it wasn't really much. The second movie really expanded more about the games and felt like a completely different franchise. And now, here, it seems like they're not only listening to fans of the criticisms from the last movie, but it seems like they're building upon of what people actually like about the movie. Is that we're seeing a lot more of our furry creatures, and we're seeing significantly less of the human characters, because that's not really what matters the most, but I do actually like that. We didn't get to see a lot of James Marsden or Maddie in this trailer, but I did like what they gave us here with seeing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all back with fighting Shadow, and Shadow looks fantastic in every way. And how they're adding Maria and Robotnik is back, and all this stuff makes it so exciting because it feels more and more like Sonic. And this is not the last movie because they have plans to do more. The only thing I kind of wish is Shadow just the only main new alien in the movie? We're not gonna get Amy. We're not gonna get Rouge the Bat. We're not gonna get any of that. But yeah, what do you guys think about the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer? I'm not the biggest Sonic fan. I had to do some of my own research, but what is your relationship with the games and the movies? Please let me know. But that's pretty much everything I got for you guys right now. Please make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys all next time.